Stick to it and believe in your power. Hi everyone, this is Ray once again, and today I'd like to talk about a shoot 'em up for the Sega Genesis known as Gleylancer. The first thing that caught my eye when I popped this in was the cutscenes at the beginning of the game, and shortly after, the music started up, and it's just fantastic. It's some of the best Genesis music I think I've ever heard. Gleylancer was originally released only in Japan, and I usually prefer to play the original imports, but this time I got my hands on one of the reproduction cartridges of Gleylancer for the Sega Genesis. Now, Gleylancer was developed by NCS Corp, probably most known for their Assault Suit series, as in Assault Suit Lanos and Assault Suits Falcon, or Target Earth and Cybernator in the US. Yes, this is one of those shoot 'em ups that tries to have a story. And the only interesting point is that the pilot of the Gleylancer is actually female, but it's nice to see they put some effort into it. And thanks to the reproduction cartridge, I can actually tell what they're saying. At first, Gleylancer doesn't really seem to do much to stick out from your typical Mega Drive shoot 'em up, and the level design is definitely very poor in some areas. This is very apparent even in the very first stage, as enemy fire will typically become obscured by the very busy parallax scrolling going on in the background. This problem is also present in Cybernator. It seems they didn't really learn their lesson. Anyway, enough about the negatives. Let's get on to why I love this game. So Gleylancer has gunners, which are basically its own version of the option or force. And you have 7 different options of how they react while you play, which is really cool. The 7 different ways your gunners can react are as follows. There's the normal setting, which allows you to control the direction which they fire. There's the reverse setting, which is the same thing but in reverse in relation to your controls. There's the search setting, which automatically targets the enemies, and although the game says it's not very accurate, it's actually probably the most overpowered setting there is. There's the multi setting, which gives you a 3-way fire, and there's the multi-reverse, which is the same thing, just in reverse again. And there's the shadow, which reacts exactly like the option in Gradius. And finally, there's the roll setting, which has your gunners spiral around the ship, kind of creating a barrier of sorts. Pressing the C button will also hold your gunners in position with many of these settings, although with others it will change the direction of your fire. These gunners aren't given to you from the start. You have to collect power-ups to actually gain them, and there are 7 different gunners that you can acquire. There's the twin shot, which is basically the most well-rounded shot in the game. There's the laser, which is weaker, but it pierces through enemies. There's the 5-way, which fires 5 small projectiles across the screen out of each gunner, which covers quite a bit of the screen but has an extremely slow rate of fire. The burner, which is basically the flamethrower of the game, and can drag along surfaces to destroy ground or wall-bound enemies. Then there's the spread bomb, which from my experience seems to be the most powerful weapon in the game, but it has a very, very slow rate of fire. Only one projectile out of each gunner can appear on the screen at once. There's the saber, which is very damaging if you catch an enemy on the blade, and it can also be used to block certain kinds of projectiles. And there's the bound shot, which bounces off walls and can be very useful in certain situations. The weapons are well balanced overall, none of them really sticking out one over the other. Although the 7 different options, I'd say the search is maybe a little bit overpowered, as the final boss can easily be taken down with the search setting and the burner weapon. The level design can be pretty poor, but that doesn't mean that there aren't any stages that stick out. The stages will often change the pace of the gameplay from fast and slow and back and forth. And my favorite stage in the game has to be the ice level. It's one that has you moving up, backwards, diagonal. It's just all over the place, and I feel that's one of the better levels in the game. The graphics in Gleylancer are a bit of a mixed bag. They're sometimes really gorgeous and others very bland. Although I have to say I really dig the design of the Gleylancer. I love that little cannon that's just sitting underneath. What's much more important than the graphics though is if the game can run fine without any slowdown, and like most Genesis shoot 'em ups I played, this one has absolutely no slowdown whatsoever that I can recall. The sound design is well above average for a Genesis title. There's a very memorable announcer that will let you know when you gain power-ups. He will also let you know when to look out for flying rocks.
Watch out for flying rocks!
When a huge enemy stands in your way.
A huge enemy stands in your way.
He'll also warn you when an enemy is making a lightning attack.
Enemy makes a lightning attack.
So all things considered, the amount of ways the gunners can react with the 7 different settings and the 7 different power-ups, you can basically play this game any way you wish. And that adds quite a bit of variety to an otherwise very basic shoot 'em up. In the end, Gleylancer does have its faults, and it is a little bit easy, but still, I found myself enjoying it quite a bit. The amount of variety you have in your weapons is huge, and the music is just fantastic. This game definitely gets a recommendation from me.
Stick to it and believe in your power.